everybody, and welcome to another episode of Sold with Updike Pugh.
I'm Jeff Updike.
And I'm Weston Pugh, and we are really excited to have everyone back today. We've got a great show, chock full of great information. I think what we had was a great week last week of information that we thought would be really important and necessary for us to share with you guys.
Yeah. This week we're going to start off talking about some of our properties. Are we not?
No, we're going to start with the properties. We're going to go all the way from Oak Cliff, and then we'll move into condos in Uptown. And then we have just another condo that we kind of wanted to highlight inside of Inwood. So I guess let's go ahead and get started on this.
Okay. The first house that we wanted to talk to you about today is one that we toured this week, and it's in a really cool section of Oak Cliff named Elmwood. Elmwood is a neighborhood that is bordered on the east side by Polk Street, on the west side by Hampton, and it runs from Clarendon all the way, well, really from the Dart Rail all the way down to West Illinois. And it's got a really deep history. This neighborhood actually began in the early 1900s as a dairy farm, and then in the 1920s, a real estate investor bought it and began slowly developing it. It's got a lot of 1930s, 1940s homes in it. This one is a home that I think is just a really cool home. Do you want to talk about it?
So this home, one of the elements that brought to our attention was how clean this looked on the renovation process. This home is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-car garage, and it's 1644 square feet. It's a 50 wide by 150 deep lot, built in 1952, and just recently renovated all the way to the studs. I was able to tour this property with Adam Murphy, and he gave me some in-depth information on this house. And this is one of those flips that actually makes the grade, where you know that you're buying something of quality. And I think in today's market, that is critical, that due diligence is done when it comes to purchasing someone else's flip. Yep. They've gone so far as to actually put together a video of this. And so I think we'd like to, if we can, Ziggy, go through this video, and it highlights during the process and gives you a good idea of what's going on. So as you can see, it's a very simple home. They've replaced the windows and doors throughout. They were able to just power wash the brick, and then inside begins the magic. Wood floors, walls were moved out, and it comes in with this really amazing product. The front door also has been updated, and that kitchen, oh my gosh, that kitchen was given some love. We'll get back to that kitchen here in just a little bit. I was surprised at some of the elements that they put into it.
The exterior of the home, they put a new 30-year roof on it. They've replaced all of the windows with new low-E windows. It's got new siding on it, fresh stain. It really, like Weston said, it was really a flip that was done very, very well.
You know, one of the great things about this one too is that it didn't start just on the inside. They actually did the fence and the curb as well. So we have new sod, we have a new fence for privacy, and they removed some of the just kind of the eyesores that were in this house on the outside as well as on the inside, and came back with what I feel like today's buyers really are looking for. I think this is a great example for both people who are looking to purchase a flip, but also for people who are looking to purchase a house that they feel like they should be able to do something like that too.
Yep.
Because you have to be able to see past the ugly. And I think that this house really had some ugly going in on it. Yeah. One of the things that I was going to point out on that kitchen is the kitchen actually has an ice maker, and that it also has a double oven, and then it's got a downdraft cooktop. So inside that island, a little apparatus brings up the vent, and it goes right back down. Really great use of space here. The pantry was also really an extra add that they did, where it has some pull-outs and alpha shelving throughout. So we gave this one really high marks, and one of the, I think, things that I would end on this property is by saying that the the people who have made the flip possible actually have assembled an entire book, and it's one of the elements that they actually present to the homeowners. So it has all of the people that they used during the construction. It has all of the warranties used for actually the appliances. And goes so far as to even give you the colors. So owning this house is easy even after the close. So kudos to this one.
Yep, and this home is listed at $375,000. That comes in about $228 a square foot. And, at that price, being in the condition it is, I think it's a really good value. And we'd like to thank Adam Murphy for letting us talk about his home today.
Yep. Thank you so much, Adam. We appreciate that. Moving on, we want to take a look at yet another one that was in Oak Cliff. It's 943 Turner Avenue. Turner Avenue had previously been on the market before and recently has just come back on the market with some fresh updates. And I'm going to go ahead and let Jeff talk a little bit about where Turner is in the city.
This is in Kessler Highlands, which is going to be just south of Colorado, between Tyler and Hampton. And you can see it's very close to Stevens Park Golf Course, which is, I'm not a golfer, but I understand is one of the premier municipal golf courses in the state. It is very conveniently located to downtown. It's really just two main streets. You never even have to get on a highway. And it is just really a scooter ride away from Bishop Arts District, which, as many of us know, has really become a hot marketplace for new restaurants and new stores and new apartments, and there's just this really great rejuvenation in that part of the city that's happening.
Yep. So one of the things that we really, really like about this neighborhood is that it also has a strong Norman Rockwell feel to it. Going up and down the streets, you would feel comfortable walking, riding, pets, whatever you'd like. The house itself is a 4-bedroom, 3-bath, and it's $2,792 in square foot. What's great about this floor plan is that it is set up with a full bedroom and bath downstairs. So you open up the front door and you come into a small kind of a receiving room, and then off to the left is where you would be able to, they've set up a first living room, and then on the right is the dining room. But I would say that the ability for those to flip-flop would be easy. And then moving in past that, you walk into a full bathroom and full bedroom on either side, and the stairs going up, or you veer to the left and you're in the kitchen. And they've done a really good job with this kitchen. The kitchen, to me, they went back in with white subway tiles and some paint and just brought it up to life. The ease of this kitchen was great. And I believe, yep, that is Viking range right there. Mm-hmm. So no skimping on that either. And then the back living room was a really good concept. It opens up directly to the outside, but the space itself was large enough for you to be able to entertain a medium-sized party or just as intimate as you'd like to be watching TV. Outside, great landscaping. The thoughts were put into place so it has more of a fern feel to it. There is outdoor dining, and there's also a place where you could hook up a TV. That's a great image right there of that back family room that I'm talking about. And the doors that you see right there on the left of the image, those are the ones that take you outside. You can just barely see right there. That's a lounger, kind of letting you kick back and relax. But great size on this room. If you go upstairs, I think, Ziggy, there is an image that we kind of wanted to talk about. Go to the master bathroom. Great attention to detail was paid here. I feel like this person really got the colors both on the cabinets and on the paint on the cabinets and the countertop material. Mm-hmm. Large and open. There's also a space for them. They hung a full-size mirror, so everything just kind of works on this one. All in all, four bedrooms, really well placed, 3 bathrooms in great area. This is a really strong contender for a clean product out there in the Bishop Art District, or adjacent to the Bishop Art District.
Yep. And this is in the Conservation District, which we've talked about before, is really kind of an overlay of municipal government that helps kind of keep the continuity of neighborhoods together. When you've got older neighborhoods such as this, that the residents want to, I guess, avoid having the very blocky homes brought in and built. It's a good way to maintain that charm and maintain value. This one is priced at $595,000, makes it just over $213 a square foot with the 2792 square feet. And we wanted to say thank you to Roya Daughtery with Dave Perry Miller for letting us talk about her property today.
Yeah, that's a great one. Let's go ahead and we'll take a trip now. Let's go ahead a little bit further north, and that's going to get us into Uptown. And 4307 McKinney, number 7, is a townhome. I'll let Jeff kind of tell us a little bit about this.
This, with its location, it's in a neighborhood called Knox Park, and Knox Park is really north of Wycliffe, really south of where everybody knows Knox Avenue is in the Apple Store. It is a really pedestrian-friendly neighborhood. You have a lot of restaurants to walk to in the north. You also have a lot of restaurants to walk to in the south. You have the West Village, which is about a 5-block walk away. And I know, people in Dallas don't walk that much, but it is really quite a walkable distance. You've got movie theaters. There is live theater within walking distance. Just really great location.
It is. I would say that this is probably one of the better areas of Uptown, just because you can get away, whether it's walking Katy Trail or whether you need to hop on an Uber ride and get to the left field. I think that all of this just adds a really strong value just above and beyond the walls and the bricks that make this home. Going into the bricks that make up this home, this is a complex, and I believe there are 14 complexes on this one. This image that we're looking at right here, this unit number 7 is going to be on the right-hand side and is almost all the way to the back, so it would be considered an interior unit. It's a 2-bedroom, 2.5 bath, 2-car garage, and it's 1704 square feet. Now, one of the unique things about this garage is that this is what we call a tandem, so this means they're nose to nose, and this is really great for anyone who has a really large car, such as a truck or an SUV, or if you have a boat. This is a great way to be able to push something all the way in and have space and still have the protection and safety of it being in your own home.
Yeah, a lot of HOAs don't allow you to have any kind of boat or RV or any kind of exterior parking of a vehicle for a long period of time. And even if you have an antique car or a collector car, this is a really great option for you if you want to live in the multifamily style environment where you don't have to maintain the outside of the house. You've got your homeowners association that does that.
Right. This exterior look has a modern, clean, fresh, not too much where it has a severe tone to it. I think the red bricks keep it warm. And going on inside of this house, they have done updates to both the kitchen and the bathrooms, which I think show up really well. Wood floors through the second floor are great in this home. A nice, deep, rich tone. Don't see that there being too many complaints or issues about this. It was nice that we were able to review the seller's disclosure online and know that the HVAC system was replaced in 2017 and that the hot water heater was placed in 2016. These are really key elements that help buyers make decisions, and by giving them this up front, if there were questions, they're able to get those answered as quickly as possible.
And a lot of times it helps people negotiate more from a knowledge-based standpoint.
Absolutely.
I think it helps the sellers and the buyers both, because everyone is operating from the same level at that point. There's not super surprises for anyone to find.
Absolutely, and we love to be able to give everybody and get all of the information prior to getting the contract worked out. It's just one of those things that makes life a little bit easier. One of the things that we did note on this one, this is almost turnkey. There was a couple of times when I thought that a buyer might want to come in and make some paint changes or change the temperature of the light bulbs. But other than that, I would say that this is a solid A property and would be easy and a move-in ready. Yeah. Low maintenance, whether you're looking for your first home or whether you thought this would be something great for you as a downsizer. This would be a strong contender.
Mm-hmm. And this home is priced at $400,000 even. That makes it about $234 a square foot. And we'd like to say thank you to James Ferris and Dave Perry Miller for letting us show his property.
Yep, that was a great one. All right, so now we're going to move over to another listing that is at 4616 Lovers Lane, number 109. This is a condo. This area is adjacent to Bluffview and just north of Mockingbird and to the west of Love Field. This is one of the up-and-coming areas, I believe, for Dallas. I feel like there's just been a lot of infrastructure south of here that has really pushed people forward and really helped the values get a hold. One of the great things about this property too is that it is just to the west of Inwood Village, and Inwood Village has really come alive. I feel like Inwood Village now has one of my favorite places, which is Flower Child. Great alternative for super healthy eating. And right beside that is Empire Bakery. And Empire Bakery has my all-time favorite chicken salad. So if you're looking for two things there, that's a good one. And if you wanted to get fitted for custom clothes, right across the street from that, or right across walking distance, is J. Hilburn. So some elements over there that we really like. And if you actually were going to UT Southwestern and for work or for school, this would be a great commuter for you. The complex itself, I would say, probably has between 30 and 45 units. There's a center pool in there that is great. It almost has kind of like a Palm Springs feel to it.
Very much so.
Yep. This is a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-car parking garage, and it's 1,053 square feet. One of the most interesting things about this property is that it has a large backyard. So if you are a pet owner, and we know that there are some of y'all out there, this is a great idea for you to look into this one.
This is speaking of the backyard, it has one of the largest backyards in the complex.
Yes, it is on the end of one of the buildings, and there's a great shot of that. So this floor plan also, if you switch to the inside, this is like a concept over on Ninth Street, 2722 Ninth Street. This is one of those ones that has a really open floor plan. So this gives you the ability to dictate where furniture goes and how important it is to or not to have a dining room. The kitchen is extremely open to the rest of the house as well. So whether you're having a group over to watch Game of Thrones or studying for your finals, this is a really great idea. And even for investors, if this was something that you thought about getting your foot in the water as far as adding to your portfolio, this would be a great product to look at.
Absolutely.
This one is priced at
$199.
and it's 189 a square foot. Jeff's having just a little bit of an issue right now.
Excuse me.
Coughing.
Sorry.
So we'll get him back here in just a minute.
Sorry.
All right. So now comes, this is a part of the year that we just had where we always get to hear industry update.
Yep. It's really one of our favorite events to go to that happens. And they always, our Realtor Association always has it toward the end of the year, and it is really an economic update.
Yep.
And the cool thing about this is they bring in the chief economist from NAR, they bring in a statewide economist, and then they also bring in, this year it happened to be the real estate editor at the Dallas Morning News. And so you get this really great 30,000 foot level, you get kind of the 15,000 foot level, and then you get the 1,000 foot level.
And so Dr. Lawerence Yun from NAR was the one that actually spoke. This is his actual, he writes for Forbes, and then he is also one of the writers for the NAR Twitter account. So if you wanted to see kind of what the entire housing industry was doing from that 30,000 square foot of a national, this is a really great place to get some sound bites. And then let's see, it was Dr. James Gaines with A&M, and this is his bio profile from the A&M Business School. Now, when we were looking at his slides, and we're happy to share those with any of y'all, but his slides are so chock full of information that we didn't feel like they really worked on this show.
Yeah.
So if you want something that's even meatier, we've got that for you,
Yeah.
but it didn't quite translate very well for this. And last but not least, we had Steve Brown, an editor for Dallas Real Estate section. This is his. Steve is always a great entertainer when he speaks, and it's so nice to hear someone speak about Dallas that is actually from Dallas,
Yep.
rather than getting it from someone who thinks they know Dallas.
Yep.
So
If I can jump in, the one of the, you were talking about Steve being a great entertainer. Steve always really looks at the numbers. He doesn't write just to create sensationalism, but he really writes about the numbers, what's going on in the marketplace, what are trends. It's really a lot of good information that he offers. And he's worked for the Morning News, I think, for more than 20 years now.
Yep.
So he really does have a touch on what's going on.
So what Jeff and I decided to do was to take and kind of boil down these three amazing presentations and put this into a 15-minute overview of what it looks like for Dallas in the next 2 to 3 years, and what are some of the bigger contributing factors that we heard over and over again that are making this economy healthy and what it is today. So I think that over and over again, one of the biggest things that they kept highlighting was jobs.
Yep, that is, and it is, when our economy went through this recession, starting in about 2007, the thing that really kind of fell off the cliff at that point was there were no new jobs that were being generated from that point. And then we began to see that turn from 2010 and head up. And from 2010 until 2018, there were right at 18 million new jobs created.
Yep.
And that's really what's driven our economy back in a real positive direction.
And one of the things that we kind of are going to harp on, or not harp, but one of the things that we want to really emphasize is that these jobs are driving the next couple of factors that we're going to talk about. And that is 18 million, that's a great, but I think that one of the things we kind of also wanted to highlight was show you where we stood as far as a national average. And so the top job gain markets for year over year increase for July. This is amazing to me.
Yeah.
I think that everybody was really excited that was in this auditorium that heard this.
We were only second to New York City with just under 119,000 new jobs created since last July. And one of the other cool things that we saw is that Houston is number 2 with 101,000, and to have two of the top cities in Texas, or two cities in Texas, be in that top job gain markets is really remarkable.
And I think that in and of itself is when we start talking about the Golden Triangle, where we have Dallas, Houston, Austin, and
Very much so.
And it's those that are giving us so much more. And that is exactly what this next slide shows, is that's pretty much the Golden Triangle. And it shows you how we stack up for July year over year.
Yep. And these are, some of the larger cities in Texas, so they're always going to be in those top Texas markets. But when you start adding those numbers up, it really looks positive for the future and the economic future in the state of Texas.
Because without jobs, everybody knows Detroit was one of the hardest hit in the downturn of 2008. And without jobs, you can see how much of an impact that can make on people and what they can do and the home ownership of that economy. So moving on, I think that this was a very exciting point that they brought up, and that is total jobs that were not dependent on oil. And because so often we think about Midland and Permian Basin and how important that is to the Houston economy. And this right here is really a great graph that shows that we are not subject to the oil prices.
Well, yes, and it helps. Having a really diverse economy helps you in the long run, because as we've seen over the last several years, the price of oil plummeted there for several years, and the smaller towns, like we have broker friends that live in Midland and Odessa, and they really struggled for a couple of years because the price of oil was so low.
Yep. And this goes to show that what we're looking at is we're looking at more and more industries that are moving into the Texas market and can support us even when the oil prices dip. One of the things that Dr. James and both Dr. Yun pointed out was that oil prices have begun to increase, that they're better. 17 was better than 16, 18 was better than 17, and they forecast that 19 will be better than 18. How much better? They don't have the magic crystal ball. It would be great if they could tell us, but it was nice to know that we are seeing these continue to go and support the economy that we need.
And we have, excuse me, go ahead.
I think that, no.
Sorry, it's one of those days.
We're going to get that canary out of there sooner or later. The next thing that we kind of want to talk about is, as we see how the jobs created is great, and jobs actually bring people to Texas. And as they come into Texas, what we're looking for is how much are we growing and where are they coming to? And in the top population gains in the metro area ranked for 2017, this is the U.S. Census Bureau, and this actually puts DFW at the top of that. And that is a larger group, that is a larger geographic area because we're talking from Fort Worth all the way to Dallas. And that includes Arlington, the mid-cities. And do you think that that would include DeSoto?
Probably would. It would probably go down pretty much all the way down to I-20, and then they factor these into metropolitan statistical areas, and they're, like the DFW area contains Fort Worth, Dallas, Arlington, Plano, or Richardson, Plano, and all of those outlying areas, because really lots of places around town, Frisco included, have become another city center, and they're really becoming kind of an engine of the economic engine of their own.
Yep. And so we can see on that last slide that Dallas-Fort Worth came in at number 1 and almost 52,000 more gain in population than Houston, and that was number 2. But again, we see that Austin down at the bottom also made the list. So again, we're talking about that golden triangle, and it was very interesting that they brought up that this growth we see is on the east side of 35, and they asked, does anybody know why it's that way? And there was a really interesting, it was because of water. So if you go out further west Texas, there's less water and less people are moving out there. So things to keep in mind.
And with population, you've got to have houses. And, one of the challenges in our market for a long time was we had no new building going on,
Right.
or very little new building going on, I should say. I think we hit kind of the trough of the market in like 2009 or so, where we had about 15,000 homes a year that were being built. And, our marketplace had as many as 50,000 being built in 2005, and as you can see in the slide, that trough went down as the economic downturn occurred, and then it began to bottom out in 10, 11, and then we began to see that growth up in 12, 13, and they're anticipating that this year we will be certainly not back to our peak of 50,000, but we'll be 36 to 37,000 new housing starts.
There are 2 points that I took notes down when they were talking, and one was that they said that the entire nation has not had the growth back like what we have in the DFW area, and number 2 was that we actually hadn't reached what we could have, that there were 2 limiting factors that were affecting DFW as far as their number of starts, and number 1 was labor and the lack thereof, and number 2 was the cost of goods or the surplus of goods. And we see that that Texas is one of the largest exporters and importers of goods, and that when lumber is high like it is right now in Canada, that there is a drop off on what we can actually get. So they're hoping that with the that I don't know what they're calling it now, but the new NAFTA basically will alleviate some of that stress on the cost of goods. If we take and look at one of the new slides, it's going to be for top U.S. home starts. And again, you're going to see Dallas at number 1.
And Houston at number 2.
Absolutely. And these are really great. Again, it's showing a robust, and they think that this looks like this should be headed on into 2021. And if housing is going to go up, what else could follow that?
Well, interest rates.
There you go.
And that's, that is really what we're beginning to see, especially with the Fed meeting a couple of weeks ago.
Yep.
Raising the market, the rate at the federal bank, which in turn affects your credit card mortgage payment or credit card interest rates, your mortgage interest rates, your car loan interest rates, and as you can see in this, our rates were artificially low for many years, and they were artificially low to help stimulate the economy. But now we're seeing our economy come back with such a robust power. The federal government has the ability to slow that growth down and help manage it and stave off another recession in the future due to inflation.
And they pointed out that there would be probably one more, the Fed would raise interest rates one more time this year, and that there's a possibility that there could be 3 more next year.
Yeah.
So if you got that magical 3.8 back in 2012, congratulations. That probably is a once in a lifetime thing that you got.
Yep. And one of the things that we want to reassure people about is that there is still a lot for sale out there.
Absolutely.
And it is, we are not in the, there was an article in the Dallas Morning News today that talked about how the contract pendings had dropped year over year by the largest amount, and the headline made it seem more sensational than what the real nuts and bolts of it were. And this is another good example of, if you delve into that article written by Steve Brown, you'll see that it's really, the sky's not falling at all. There was no way that any economy that can continue with what we've had for the last 3 or 4 years here, and there's still plenty of homes on the market. Even in the starter home markets, in the North Texas listings right now, there's 2,300 homes available.
And this is a great example to show you where there's a lion's share of the product, and you can see that right at 300,000. It's odd, but that is going to be what many now are considering a starter home. One of the questions that was brought up during the Q&A during this was, what is going to happen to the buyers that are absorbing homes that should be starter homes that are investors? And I thought it was really interesting is that they didn't think that they would actually turn them back over, or that they would enter back into the market as another sale, but that these investors were actually looking to purchase a stream of income. Mm-hmm. And so this is something that we're going to keep our eye on, and we'll get back to y'all and update you as we find out more about what's happening in the entry level market, mm-hmm. with investors versus home buyers that are trying to get into it.
Yep.
The next slide is just kind of a wrap of what you get when you buy a home.
Yeah, one of the things that the Federal Reserve does a study every 3 years, and this is from the most recent study, that they look at all the economic factors that come into the U.S. populace, and a couple that were really interesting that we thought were interesting was that from 2013, with the last study, to 2016, people that were not homeowners had their net worth fall by approximately 5%, where people who were homeowners had their net worth increase by 16%. And so it is, we all know that there has been this shift of wealth from more from the middle class into the higher end classes. But one of the ways that you help hold off against that is purchasing a home. Purchasing a home is really one of the few opportunities where you can actually live in your investment. And the many of the people that we sold homes to in 2004, 2005, 2006 that ran into the economic downturn and saw their values decline a bit, what we kept telling them was, if there's not a need to sell, don't sell, because at some point this is going to turn around. And almost every one of those people would now probably look at what they paid for their house, even at the peak of the market, and it's probably 25 or 30% higher than what that was just over this course of 10 years.
And one of the things too that they brought up about that slide that was just on about wealth, there is another thing that contributes that doesn't actually talk about the wealth, but it actually is one of the things that helps you acquire wealth. Your credit score is actually positively impacted as you own a house. Renters don't actually receive positive credit ticks,
ratings, yeah.
For making their payment on time, but as a homeowner, you do get a positive note on your credit. You do not get any positive ticks for paying your utilities on time, and that's just about all that the renter has. Mm-hmm. So aside from paying someone else's mortgage, you just don't get the benefit on the credit as well, which could help you make additional purchase in the future.
Yep. And if I could make one more point about that, a lot of people look at real estate and they say, well, maybe I can manage my cost of living to a certain extent, but my property taxes are always going to go up, or my HOA fees are always going to go up.
Yeah.
And realistically, in any rental property that you live in, that's going to be factored into your rent. I mean, the people that own those don't own them because they're great Samaritans, and they may be, but they're owning them because they want a return on that profit. And so there is a profit factored into it after all of those expenses are paid out of it.
You are paying their taxes and you are paying their HOAs, mm-hmm. Make no doubt about that.
Yep.
I guess if we kind of summarize this, the big nuts and bolts of this is that the DFW, well, let's go bigger.
Okay.
Texas in as whole is doing quite well. We zero that in, we move into North Texas, and it's doing great. And if we go into Dallas, it's doing even better. So that's a great, strong takeaway.
Yep. Job growth continues to be in a very positive direction. The market, the economy will continue to expand as job growth continues, and interest rates have no direction to go but up at this point.
Yep. So if you were one of those fatigued buyers in 2017, now is a great time to get back in the market because there are a few more choices for you. The market has cooled off, and that crazy pace is just about over. You still see them go on the first day when they're priced right, and they are looking good.
Mm-hmm. And home ownership is still one of the best vehicles for establishing wealth and creating a future for you and your family.
Absolutely. We hope that this was a bit helpful to you. We have all of the slides. I believe there's probably about 120 different slides. If you'd like to take a look at them, there are some real serious meats and potatoes on that. Direct message us, and we will be happy to send those over to you.
And we just to give credit where credit's due, these people have all given us permission to, or gave all the people that attended the conference the access to these slides so that we could turn around and use the information in the future. So,
Yep.
Certainly thank you to them for allowing us to do that because it made preparing this a lot easier.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. I think one of the last things is we want to talk about, we have taken on yet another thing, and it is our Updike Pugh newsletter. It's called Updike Pugh Post. So,
Yep. And it is a newsletter that you can get in print or you can get in digital, whichever you would like. If you would like to start receiving this either direction, just go to our website, go to our contact page. The website's updikepugh.com, and just in the subject line put newsletter, and you will begin getting this. And we try not to make it too salesy,
Right.
but it does. We try to have some good information in it. We've had a tremendous number of people that have signed up on the homeprice.fyi website with us because they want to know what the value of their home is. And we've created that website just for that purpose. You're not going to get spammed. We promise we're not going to sell your information to anybody. You really just put your address in and add a couple of other pieces of information to it. And within a few minutes, or excuse me, not within a few minutes, instantly you're going to get a value on what your property is. And one of the cool things is it's going to give you a confidence score. And that confidence score is either going to be high and it knows very closely that's what your value is. Or if the confidence score is low, you know it's probably not working with the best data. Give us a call and we can narrow that down for you.
yeah, it was real interesting because this is the first issue that actually went out, and almost probably within, I guess it was on the third day after we had mailed these out, we started instantly noticing that we were getting a lot more of these FYI inquiries. And I was like, what is going on? And sure enough, we tracked it back and realized that it was due to the actual mailer that we had sent out for the newsletter. Yep. So thank you so much for reaching out to us and asking what your value was.
Yep. So I think that's about everything we have today.
Yeah, I think that's great. We will be back next week, same time, 3:30 on Tuesdays live. Yep. If there's something on here that we talked about that you really enjoyed, we'd love to hear your comments and feedback. If there's something that we didn't talk about and you think it'd make a great segment piece, we'd even like to know that more. So keep in touch with us, and we'll be watching for it.
Okay. Thank you very much.